Welcome back, y'all, to another episode 63 of the Spittin Hoops podcast. We're back with the in-season tournament preview, and we've got a lot of other storylines popping up. In general, I actually don't have a creative intro for today. I feel like usually I throw out a question, I got something, but honestly, it's a gloomy time in Washington, D.C. So that's my intro. Especially with Kyle Kuzma coming back, which we'll get to later. Anthony, though, how are you doing? Out in Boston. I
Um,
just doxed you also, by the way. I just absolutely doxed both of us.
so Max lives in DC. He's a Warriors fan, surrogate Wizards fan. I live in Boston. Do not like the Wizards ever since the mid 2010s. Um, but I'm doing pretty well, dude. Things in Boston are at least better, I think, than maybe the gloomy days in DC. Because we out here just completely kind of on our own wave. Celtics still look good. I had a question from like a non NBA fan yesterday. Uh,
Mhm.
I was out this dinner and this woman asked me, who doesn't really know much about basketball, but knows the Celtics and stuff. She asked me, are the Celtics doing as you think they should do based on what the supposed trajectory of the post championship season has looked like?
Mhm.
Oh, I thought that was a great question.
That is a very good question.
It's like they're 11-3, but Warriors beat them. Even though the Warriors have been playing very well. So excited, but I'm rambling a bit. But something that I think is awesome too is that I think this was announced today about the Inside the NBA.
Oh
And
yeah, we're all over the
like,
place. We're just all over the place today.
I'm just doing well. This is my answer. Essentially, they're starting in 25-26, right?
Yeah.
And this will
So is
mean
it
that,
ESPN? It's ESPN's taking it, right?
yeah,
God,
um,
if they put Stephen A on Inside the NBA, I'm gonna lose my mind.
that would be nuts.
No, it would suck. I would not be. I would not be happy about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, not
I
nuts.
feel like that goes against, I don't know. I feel like that goes against everything like Charles Barkley has ever stood for. He's so about gatekeeping, talking about the NBA for like the players that like Stephen A. I don't know.
Maybe like Stephen A comes on as a guest once in a while, kind of thing, like a typical person. But I hope you're right. Um,
Yeah.
and also, this means that they're going to show the finals, which is sick.
Yeah, wait, that is sick. That's actually a huge deal. That is something that the finals been missing. That might be the biggest part of this whole thing. I mean, also about them sticking around, but finals presentation in the NBA has like been lacking. The IST presentation is 10 out of 10, and the finals presentation sucks.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
the Super Bowl feels like the Super Bowl. NBA
Yeah.
Finals feels like a shitty version of the Eastern Conference Finals sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, damn. Now, okay, we didn't even plan to talk about that, so we're just going off right now. But to get us back on track,
Yes, sir.
we're each going to talk about three big things during this podcast that we've been noticing. I'm only going to actually have two today, but one of them is pretty long, so it's going to count as two. Um, or it's going to count as three, sorry. But then the main part of this podcast is going to be previewing the in-season tournament. We're going to talk about the rules. We're going to talk about our predictions. We're going to give you a little bracket, how we're expecting things to shake out. And inevitably, we're not going to bat 100% on the teams coming out of the groups. So our bracket would look pretty wacky. But we're going to rock with it anyways and have some fun. Obviously, the in-season tournament was a lot of fun last year. So I'm really excited to preview it. I know it gets some hate, but I'm not here to hate on it. I actually really enjoy it. So yeah.
With you, man.
Um, what'd you say?
It's fun. The in-season tournament's fun. The
Absolutely.
Emirates Cup is fun.
Yeah, the Emirates Cup. Reminds me of the EPL. Do you remember when the Premier League was the or no, was it the Emirates Premier League? No, it was something else. But like it was adjacent. It had like a title. I think it almost makes it more. This is funny. Having a sponsor makes me rock with the in-season tournament a little bit more.
That's so funny. I
Yeah.
love it. Like,
Um,
but yeah. Um, well, three things. I'll share my first one. So my three things, the theme of what my three things are is a bit of an apology tour, at least an early apology tour. Um, so the first thing I'll start off with is that the Pistons have completely surpassed my expectations of what they could do. I think when we talked about it, at, we talked about this team during the season preview. We both agreed that they were much better than their record, or at least better than their record from last year indicated.
Mhm.
the 0-6 26 team. But after starting 0-4, the Pistons are 7-4 since that. They're 7-8. They're fifth in the East, and the East is bad, but so be it. They beat the Lakers. They beat the Heat in a crazy game that went to overtime. If I don't know if you saw this game, but they had a pass to Jalen Duren from outside, and then Eric Spoelstra called the timeout when they didn't have one. The memes were crazy.
Tyler
Uh,
Hero had 40.
Tyler Hero did that 40. Tyler Hero's been going off. Um, but yeah, I mean, the Cade is playing so well, 23, 7-9. Could he be an all-star kind of questions? Jaden Ivey's taking a step, like scoring unbelievably. The TH boys, Tim Hardaway and Tobias Harris, both playing pretty well. Tim Hardaway shooting 46% from three. Tobias Harris is 13, 8, and 3. Jalen Duren's, I think his scoring could get a little bit better, but he's playing well. Isaiah Stewart's playing well. So just like a well-rounded team, and Cade Cunningham has really taken a very impressive step.
Yeah, I fully agree. This is one of my favorite storylines because it's been such a miserable storyline for a few years.
Yeah.
I can't wait to also see Asar Thompson really come back and
Mm.
continue his rookie season. And this is with, respect to Ron Holland, he's looked pretty poor in my opinion. And I'm a fan of all the Ignite guys just for personal agenda reasons,
Right.
and it
Yeah.
is what it is. Yeah, I think they look pretty amazing, man. I think this is super sustainable. I don't think anyone is playing out of their mind. I think this is. I had Charlotte making the play-in game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I don't think Charlotte will make the play-in game. And I'm kind of thinking leaning the Pistons will. And that's how good they've been. They look like an actual NBA team. Not only that, they look like a good one at that. Especially in this Eastern Conference. I don't think they're better than most of the other teams in the Eastern Conference, but I think they're on their way to making a play-in game. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about them. This is also with the back end of their bench playing pretty poorly, in my opinion. So
Hmm. Yeah. They have a lot of upside over the season.
yeah,
Uh,
I would
and
love to see them buy. This is a team I would love to see buy. That Cade could be in a better situation. You could trade your first round pick this year to a team who is just praying that you do worse than expected, and then you make the playoffs and whatever. Your first round pick is a 15th pick.
yeah.
I'd rather just use that. Siakam got traded for like two of those and an extra first, like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying add Siakam to this team necessarily with
Sure.
the combo of talent that they have, right? But like I would like to see a move like that. Could you take Tobias Harris's contract and
Right.
could you go get Cam Johnson? But Cam Johnson's a bad example because he's kind of adjacent, but
Yeah. Like a young player, too, who can kind of help grow with this team.
that's
Uh,
kind of what I was thinking. Cam Johnson, long-term contract, 27, I think.
she's
Good
26.
shooter. But
Like a good,
Tobias is a bad example. You would probably want to trade like Tim Hardaway and someone maybe.
they've had the Pistons have had a series of veterans with like Bogdanovich, Derrick Rose, and the Corey Joseph and those guys.
They
So
like having those guys,
yeah,
100%.
can help with the development too.
I think it's a big deal, especially, I mean, Tobias Harris knows how to play basketball, and this is with him shooting what 30% from the 3-point line or something crazy like that. Like, it's not like Tobias Harris is playing out of his mind. Like,
Mhm.
I think this is super sustainable. I actually think this team could be better than what they are now. I don't think they will be because I don't think they're that good, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, if this team bought, like, I would not be opposed to swapping out Tobias Harris for an upgrade. Like, I really don't think Tobias Harris is that good.
Yeah, I totally think you're fair.
Yeah.
Thought he was going to put up better stats in this team. Like,
Let's have some fun. Could you call up the Jazz and just be like, here's one first. We'll give you a contract that matches Sexton and Collins. And Sexton and Collins, I think, are both expiring at the end of this year, anyways. And it's like we're basically just we if heavily like a lottery protected first this year. If we're in the lottery, you don't get the first.
mm,
If we're out of the lottery, you get a 16th pick for Sexton and John Collins. And then like if we like one of them, we'll extend them. If we don't like either of them, we go from there.
yeah, oh, kind of like that. Make a season push towards the in season tournament.
Yeah, and then you go like the thing is not just a one season thing. Like
Yeah,
that will help develop your guys. And then also if you like one of those guys, you can then extend them. Um, it's kind of my thought. I don't know. That'd be something I'd really love to see because I really feel like Tobias Harris, like they added Tobias Harris and they're playing a lot better. Like imagine if they added someone even better than him. I thought Tobias Harris was going to be a pretty good player going into the season. I think he's been pretty average, bang average, like if not worse, and they've been very good. So
Yeah, man. Look
I
out for
mean,
those Pistons, huh? That's crazy.
Tobias Harris is shooting like a Sar Thompson, bro,
That's
and the
nuts.
Sar Thompson is literally like a godly defender. So
Yeah. I mean, it's the young, it's this cool combo of young talent, a couple of vets to help out. It's a I think the story just feels good because they're so chronically bad with a low ceiling that it's nice to see them ball out like this.
I agree.
Yeah.
This is great. This is a great one for your first three things.
Yeah. So Detroit Pistons, I apologize so far.
Okay. Apology number one, accepted. Oh, actually, I'm not the one to accept it, but Cade
Well,
Cunningham somewhere nodding his head.
yeah. Okay. Tune in. All right. Do you want to go and then I'll do my next?
Sure, I got a kind of a long one. Do you want to just do your three
Oh, rat.
apologies?
All right. All right.
I
All right.
kind of got a long one.
All right. I like that. So yeah, my second apology is to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Respect.
It feels like it's 2016 again with the Warriors and the Cavs at the top of their conferences, crazily enough. Um, but yeah, the chemistry has been amazing. This team is exactly the same personnel wise, I believe, as it was last season, almost exactly the same. Um, Nobody of any like large, maybe George Name. No, George Name was with them last year, right?
He was with them last year, yeah.
Yeah. So Kenny
They just
Atkins.
extended people. I mean, they brought in Craig Porter last year and they extended him. And it was
Mhm.
like stuff like that.
And so they've replaced him with bench guys. Ty Jerome has been a revelation for the Cavs. And that was one of my big limitations of this team. But Karis LeVert's been playing solid. Max Strus, George Niang, Dean Wade, Sam Merrill, all averaging at least 17 a game. Um, I just undersold this team. Garland has been playing awesome, 21-7. I saw a stat somewhere he's shooting 80% on floaters. Uh, Mobley has finally played that long step. I drafted him, I believe, in our non-All-Stars draft. Who knows if it'll be that way after the end of the season. 18-9, 2.5 assists, a block and a half. Jared Allen's playing unbelievable, 14.5 and 11. And then shout out to Max, who actually had sort of called more of this mindset of Donovan Mitchell, who is just playing like he's in control, hitting big shots, controlling the offense, playing like an MVP, 25, 4, 4, and steal and a half. One thing that I was reading about, interesting, that the Cavs offense is first in the league, and they've jumped from 24th in pace last season to seventh. So they're also third in total three-pointers, first in three-point percentage. So they're just moving more efficiently within the offense that they had. Very excited to see where this team goes. Are they 15-0 good? You know, I don't think so, but it's really impressive what they've been doing. And they're going to play the Celtics tomorrow, and that's going to be a huge measuring stick for both of these teams.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's a great one too. It's a great call. Ty Jerome, shout out. I think I gave him a small shout out on a pod like 2 weeks ago. And it's in our notes actually, on our episode 61 notes.
Mm.
Actually, it's there. This is shout out Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome, Warriors legend. He was great with the Warriors. Now he's doing his stuff again. You know, they used their biannual exception to go get him. Like 2 year, like last year, he didn't play last year. And Atkinson comes in, he knows what he wants, plays him. It's been good. Um, but the revelation, I mean, is I think Mobley statistically hasn't necessarily taken the step on basketball reference that you might see, but if you watch the games, like, he looks different, like you said. Like,
Mm.
yeah, this is a great team. This is a great team to watch. They're gonna win 50 games. They're gonna win 55 to 60 games. The Donnie extension is such a big deal for them too. Like them having that off the brain and being able to rock out. They know they have at least 2 years to just try it is so nice. Minimum. And at this rate, they're gonna have more.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, I mean, he's unbelievable.
Because with when I this whole offseason, I was saying Jared Allen for Brandon Ingram and like a few firsts. I was like, that solves your problems. Guess what? You don't even need to do that. Now they got to give you first.
Yeah.
You're playing too well. You're not moving Jared Allen.
Yeah. Evan Mobley stretching the floor more. I saw a Draymond quote when they played the Warriors, and they played unreal against the Warriors. And Draymond Green was saying he was super impressed by Evan Mobley. And his offensive play style is starting to remind him a little bit of Draymond Green's initiation in half court sets.
Well, they've kind of unshackled him, and they're also not injured. Last year they were very injured, and I think that's underrated. And they
That's
still won a lot
true.
of games. But they've almost like they had a full training camp, a full launching pad, and they've had continuity. So many teams don't have continuity, especially in the East. They've had
Yeah.
continuity. They've been playing with each other for 5 years. All these other teams mix and matching pieces. They're getting better, but not that much better. Where you're going to see it in the first 20 games. This is where the Cavs are going to make a dent and have a chance to really carry this momentum really far. They could be the second best team in the East at the end. Like when we're looking back at this season after the NBA Finals, if you tell me they're the second best team in the East, if you told me they got out of the East, I would not be like stunned.
Yeah. Ooh, this year.
This year, I would not be stunned.
You know what's crazy too is
It's just with the way the season's rolling out. Maybe I'm overreacting, but
uh what your point also is so interesting because it just goes to show how much parity there is in the NBA. That it is yet another team that has a shot of making the conference finals, despite all of the storylines and assumptions that people have made over every single year. So it's nuts. To your point, by the way, Donovan Mitchell 55, Garland 57, and Mobley 50 games played last year. So if they're healthy and they can cook, um, could be scary.
yeah, I completely agree. I'm looking back at our predictions. I think, Jesus, both of like for example, both of us had Golden State in the plan. If they made a Western Conference Finals at this point, we wouldn't be shocked. You had Cleveland 4 and I had Cleveland 4 actually. So we were both like mildly high on Cleveland, but I don't think either of us could have seen them coming out of the East or even making the Eastern Conference Finals really. And now if they came out, we wouldn't be surprised. So it's like I don't know. That's just my point on your pair. The my point on your point about parity.
Mm. It's so hard to predict. Yeah. But they look great. So, Cleveland, I'm sorry so far.
Apology
I,
number two, accepted.
the delegate from the Cleveland Cavaliers.
The delegation, yeah. Something
Uh,
like
so this third one is a little bit more half baked. I haven't really thought as much about the Rockets, so I apologize, Rockets fans who listen. But I have to apologize to the Rockets. Do we both predicted the under on wins, which was 41 and a half, I believe. And they are playing really, really well. I think we had our, or at least one of the concerns that I had was their how many cooks in the kitchen situation. Jalen Green played really well to end the season last year, and they went on that long win streak without Sengun. But it felt like Sengun was the better player for the majority of the season. So how is that gonna shake out? How it's shaken out is that Sengun's been the team's MVP. 17, 11 and a half boards, 5 assists, back-to-back triple doubles recently. Offensively, he's heating up. Pam Fleet is shooting, has 15, 5, 6 assists, 2 steals. He's shooting pretty inefficient. So what happens if that gets better? Jalen Green, who has not been amazing, but 25 and 3. Amen Thompson has been playing well, 11, 7, and 2. Dylan Brooks is actually the first in plus minus in the league, which is nuts. Jabari Smith Jr. has had some games where he's playing better. Tari Eason has been playing unbelievably. I think he was referred to as like, could he be this team's Kawhi by Ime Udoka, who's brought back this similar vibe to 2022 Celtics. And kind of low key, this team also reminds me of like current, or maybe last year, Orlando Magic defense level. Because even though they're only 24th or 27th in assists per game, 24th in 3-point percentage, 22nd in 3-pointers made, they're first in rebounds, first in offensive rebounds, 18 and a half second chance points per game, and third in points allowed per game. So as this team's efficiency potentially standardizes to the mean, this built-in defensive identity that they've created is going to travel and has traveled. So they're 10-4. They play the Bucks tonight, who are 4-9, but still provide an interesting challenge. So to the Houston Rockets, you're playing well and you're fun to see, and I owe you an apology.
Fair enough. This is the one apology I'm going to push back on a little bit.
Sure.
Can I push back on your apology?
Yeah, yeah.
Their 5-game win streak that they're on. Wins against the Pistons, Wizards, 2 against the Clippers, 1 against the Bulls. They're a little bit better. They're definitely better than what I thought. I still don't know if they're going to be outside of the plan based off this early season. Like I'm ready to overreact. I'm not ready to overreact about the Rockets just yet.
Sure.
But their defensive floor definitely is like to the level that we saw at the back end of last season, as you did mention. And I'm kind of excited to see where that can take them in the regular season. I mean, I've talked a lot about how depth can carry you really far in the regular season. And if they can win 47, 48 games, they're going to knock a really good Western Conference team into the plans. And yeah, so I don't know. So I hear your apology. I'm going to push back on it a little bit, but they're good. They're definitely a very good team. They kind of encapsulate like they're the reason why if I'm Dallas, I'm tweaking out. Like I'm worried right now if I'm Dallas with the way I'm playing. Because Dallas is gonna have to win 50 of their last 65 games.
Yeah.
Like if they want to be if they want to have any home court chances in the Western Conference, they're gonna need to win 50 games. So you're gonna have to go what 46-20 the rest of the way.
7-7 at the moment. 46-20 gets you to what?
Let's give you 53 wins. You're probably a 3 seed in the West. And that'd be really good. That'd be really good. But like if Dallas is gonna be a 3 seed in the West, they're gonna have to win. They're gonna have to go 46-20 the rest of the way, you know? And so like with teams like the Rockets, who are gonna win 48 games at least, or 48, it might be steep. They're gonna definitely win at least 46, it looks like. So I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts with the Rockets. They're gonna be a spoiler for a team that wants to not be a play-in team.
Yeah. And they could be a play-in team. They could be a playoff team.
I think they're probably gonna be a playoff team. This defensive floor is really impressive. They're gonna beat up on bad teams. No bad teams are gonna beat them.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be a dogfight at least.
Yeah, I'm exaggerating when I say none, but like I don't see them. Like they're gonna get like top end talent. Like Joel Embiid's gonna drop 50 on this team at some point this season. You know, Giannis is. I don't know the Bucks they're playing tonight. Like Giannis might have 30, like 40. You know, and they might just win. You know, so there's gonna be situations like that. But I think in general they're just gonna beat up. Like they're not gonna lose the Pistons. They're not gonna lose the Wizards. They're not gonna lose the Clippers. They're not gonna lose the Spurs. Honestly, even though I think Wemby's really good, but like I just think their defensive floor is too good.
So there's a stretch that they have coming up where they will play the Timberwolves, the Sixers, granted, whatever, but OKC, the Kings, and then Golden State.
So that'll tell us a lot. That 5-game stretch will tell us a lot.
Yeah.
Because if you go 2-3 in that 5-game stretch, your record's going to look a lot better than if you go 1-5. If you go 1-5 in that 5-game stretch, you're right back to being a 500 team.
And they could be 2-3 in this. They could be 3-2.
They could be 3-2 in that stretch. But I mean, that would be good. If you come out of that stretch going 3-2, you as a Rockets fan, you should go bet. Like we are nice.
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
Even if you go 2-3, frankly, in that stretch, you got to be happy with that.
Yeah. So to your point though, I believe 2 seasons ago, both the Portland Trailblazers and the Utah Jazz were 10-4 to start the season. And then they both came back down to earth.
The Wizards led the East after 15 games when I had season tickets 3 years ago.
That was crazy. I remember that.
Actually, a pretty good year to have season tickets. Yeah, I had season tickets that year. It was very fun.
Didn't they have 37 wins? Like they had They weren't,
Yeah, no, they were. It was just injuries, and also Brad Beal went. Brad Beal played the first 35 games of the season.
and then he was hurt.
Yeah, and then he was hurt, and we had like a Porzingis injury right before that, or something like that.
Uh,
Because
dang.
obviously Porzingis.
Yeah.
That tracks.
Only know it. Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. Well, apology deferred for the Rockets. We're like, it's in the mail. You're like still tracking it. It was supposed to deliver a few days ago. We'll
I like it.
we'll catch up to you in like after the 5 game stretch.
Right. This is pending. I like that.
Pending.
Right. Yeah. That's a good call. So
Still
Houston
better. Still
Rockets,
better than we expected
absolutely. They've definitely done better than both of our takes at the moment. So
at the moment.
uh, that is the end of my apology tour.
Fair enough. That's Anthony's 3 big things, all in theme. I kind of like it. I only have 2 big things, so I'm kind of lacking here. But I have some deep notes about this first one.
Hit it.
Um, so I've been thinking a lot. I've been thinking a lot about trades, the expansion, the existence that like expansion being on the horizon. They're going to talk about it at some point this season. That has just had my brain moving. The CBA, I have it, the PDF on my phone. I'll be checking it, just wondering about stuff. And I've been wondering about Kyle Kuzma and the protect the asset epidemic. That's what I'm calling it. I think a lot of teams will extend players to protect the asset when the alternative might be better, whatever the alternative is. So teams always resign the guy that they don't necessarily want, but they want to keep around because you have to quote protect the asset. So I've been thinking a lot about this since the Karl Anthony Towns trade because I think that I think teams really just hate having major big money players like Zach LaVine, for example, is another example of this type of player. I think
Mhm.
teams don't like having that type of player just because it ruins your flexibility in general. Um, Unless you're a difference maker like Stephen Curry, who's making 65 mil, or if you're the Celtics, you have Jaylen Brown, NBA Finals MVP, 65 mil. When
Sure.
Zach LaVine's making 55 mil, it really cripples your flexibility.
Okay.
So that's my 2 different thoughts there. Um, the another thing, so now keep that in mind. Keep that in the back of your head. Comparisons to the Kuzma extension. The Kuzma extension was signed at the offseason last year, 4 years, 100 million. A parallel to this is the Jeremy Grant extension, the 5 years, 180
Yeah.
million that he
Hate
signed
that deal.
for. Yeah, when Lillard wanted to leave.
Yep.
And I have some other parallels that I'll get to later.
Is
But
D'Lo kind of this player? Sorry to cut in.
yes, like
Okay.
last year when last offseason when they gave him the 1+1, that's another example. That's actually a really good example that I actually wrote down in my notes. That's a good one. But so Kuzma and Grant were like extended purely for asset reasons, and you know they're probably worth just a back end first at this point. Like if you're a good team, you're trading for Jeremy Grant to try to solve your problems, but you're using one first. You're not trading much more than that, and you're trading a first from a good team like the Bucks. If you went here's Lopez and a contract for Jeremy Grant, you'd probably have to give one first, but you're not giving two. So that's kind of the sort of players these guys are. But now if you're the Wizards, for example, you have to start Kyle Kuzma because he's the best player on your team, but he's really hurting your player development. For example, Koulibaly, he was 13-5-2 with Kuzma. Without Kuzma, 18-6-3. Keontae George doubles all his face value stats without Kuzma on the floor, without Kuzma playing versus with Kuzma playing. Bub Carrington is 10-6-6 averages without Kuzma. He's 9-5-4 without him, triple single without him. So these players kind of put you in a situation where you have to play them because they're an asset and you're waiting to get whatever asset you re-sign them for in your head, that value, when really taking the L at some point would be the right move. So Kuzma, for example, if you could just move him for a back end first right now, or even a boatload of seconds, would that be worth it? And so I think teams should actually do what the alternative. Here's my solution. Teams should actually do what the Wizards did with Denny Avdia. They extended him last year. They waited exactly a year at his peak value. They traded him for the first that became Bub Carrington and another first in 2029. And unless I'm not saying you should extend players 100% of the time. Like Denny Avdia, they extended him, it worked out. But for example, Kuzma, they
Mhm.
should have never even gotten to the extension. They should have just traded him the year before when he was worth a first round pick. And when you talked yourself into, oh, we'll keep him around, we'll get 2 first round picks for him. They really, in retrospect, you'd be a lot better off just bottoming out if you were the Wizards and developing a different small forward. Other examples of this, Kevin Huerter in Atlanta, he won them game 7 in 2021. They gave him a 4-year, 60 million extension. Right after that, within a year, he shipped out for an L contract. He's a little bit of a different example because he was a restricted free agent. But Bradley Beal is another example. You re-sign Bradley Beal because of asset management. You get Chris Paul and a bunch of second round picks back. And like, were you just better off literally letting him walk and developing another player?
Mm.
So that's kind of my thoughts. I don't know if I have a point here, but it's the Kuzma and the protect the asset epidemic. If I watching the Wizards, I just wish they didn't have Kyle Kuzma. I really
Mm.
and Kyle Kuzma is an extremely good player. I actually think he's very valuable. Um, like the Kings, when before DeRozan went there, I thought he would be a perfect fit for a lot of stuff they do. But the protect the asset epidemic is costing Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, and Koulibaly valuable development time.
Mm. And you protect the asset by playing the person?
I mean, you have to, or else if he doesn't play,
Good value.
yeah. It's like Jeremy Grant. Would you rather just be trotting out? Wouldn't you rather be rehabilitating Rob Williams' asset value? Wouldn't you rather be playing Donovan Clingan? Wouldn't you rather be playing who's the French guy that they have? I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah, Kamara.
Yeah, Tumani. Wouldn't you rather be playing Tumani Kamara? You
Yeah.
know, and that I would literally give up potentially Kyle Kuzma for almost nothing just so I could develop those other guys. And I think teams, you can't think like that in a business
Mm.
because that's like it's like the sunk cost fallacy almost.
So
Like,
is the thinking just to not sign them in the first place and just let them walk as a free agent?
so kind of my thinking, first of all, my thinking is you should probably just trade these guys. Like if you're the Wizards, instead of thinking, oh, if he is free agency, I could just re-sign him. You should have just traded him. If you were already thinking about like that about him, you probably should have just traded him because they
Get
were
your
bad. They were already bad.
right.
Like they just extended him in hopes that they would get 2 firsts instead of probably the 1 first that they were getting before that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was probably a protected first, and there were probably going to be it was probably going to be a 20th overall pick. But like in retrospect, would you have rather had a 20th overall pick that you could have drafted on a Keyshawn George type player who they just got in the 20s and developed him for the last 3 years, or would you rather just been trotting out Kyle Kuzma, starting the rest of your player development?
Is it the way that so Tobias Harris is in Detroit, Tim Hardaway Jr. is in Detroit, and part of, I guess, what was being said too was that they're also kind of helping out with their veteran presence. So it's also kind of like where does Kyle Kuzma help? And maybe it's in his play style, and he's just not a very effective. I haven't watched, to be fair, the Wizards too much with Kyle Kuzma back, but I think that's like a big factor that you got to take into account.
I agree, but I think it's situation. I completely agree. I think it's situational like that. Like Jakob Poeltl is a guy who he goes to a young team, and even though he's not that old, he's down to be a veteran presence. But Kyle Kuzma, I mean, he's gonna take the shots. He's also a scorer, play style wise.
Yeah.
So if there's no one else scoring on his team, he's just gonna take the shots. But you kind of need Koulibaly to take bad shots for 40 games.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and I
Also,
think
like, yeah,
I think Kuzma is a better player than Tobias Harris or Jakob Poeltl by
right,
far.
right.
Like, don't get me wrong. Um, so
And
that's another thing.
he could also be the best player on the Wizards any night.
Oh,
And with Cade Cunningham, that's not happening with the Pistons.
yeah,
So there's that difference.
yeah. But could Kyle Kuzma go to the Pistons and try to play a Tobias Harris adjacent role because he sees that Jaden Ivey and Cunningham are better than him? Like,
Yes.
you could talk me into that.
Huh.
But on the Wizards, were bad. Like it's like Jeremy Grant on the Trailblazers. Like they have no one else playing 3, 4, 5 who is in Jeremy Grant's realm.
It's definitely these teams that they make these extensions and you just scratch your head. Like Jeremy Grant, even at the time, kind of felt like, what are you accomplishing?
And I do want to give a nugget to a future conversation I'll have about.
Sure.
I think there's an adjacent convo to be had about the early extensions that teams give to young players like Jordan Poole, Emmanuel Quickly, Michael Porter Jr. like a year early.
Yeah.
Um, but that's a separate combo because I think there's other reasons teams do that rather than protect the asset. I don't think that's a protect the asset thing. I think that's like a you're saving a little bit of money. They don't hit restricted free agency. There's no chemistry issues. I think that's kind of a different discussion. So that's why I
Mhm.
want to focus it on like Grant, D'Angelo Russell. Again, could you if D'Angelo Russell before they had given him the 1+1, if that season they had just said screw it, we're gonna trade away D'Angelo Russell for what's a good example? A late first and maybe a early second. Over the
Sure.
last 3 years, could you have been in a better situation now if you had just done that?
Mm.
And maybe you don't develop, maybe even if you miss on those first, maybe those shots go to Austin Reeves and he develops more. Like, I don't know.
And you have first, you can trade.
Yeah, and nowadays, yeah, you still have first rate. That's
Now
like,
you can use those first for something.
yeah. And now that's actually a great point too. So, anyways, that's kind of just my overall thought. I think some teams talk themselves into mediocre-ish players and keep them around when maybe whatever the alternative is actually might be a lot better.
Yeah. Huh.
Long-winded point.
No, I mean, I think that's fair. And I'm actually thinking about your point that we might continue later on with these RJ Barrett type guys, because and to your point, like you are in some essence protecting that asset too, in the hopes that their ceiling maybe goes higher. And then maybe it's also like, hold on, could this be the third best player on a championship team if something goes well with some other guys that we draft? Um, so those are all like slightly more exciting ones too.
Yeah,
Whereas the Tobias Harris, Kyle Kuzma, the ceiling is known.
yeah.
So
Tobias Harris, I think, is also different because Tobias Harris was signed to go there and be an old player, and I don't think the Pistons are like we're gonna flip him a year from now. I don't think the Pistons are operating like that. Like if it happens, it happens, but I don't think they're.
mhm.
I think they're thinking at best we're using him to match the salary in a trade at best.
So who are some other guys besides the ones we mentioned who come to mind when you think of this like Kyle Kuzma situation?
Kyle Kuzma, that's a yeah, the Brad Beal is really
Yeah.
like another one. That's just really one that's ringing in my head where they protect the asset. They gave him everything. They gave him the no trade clause. And in the end, like you do all this stuff to protect the asset. If they had just blown it up year one of doing the Brad Beal circus, they would have ended up so much better. That's
Yeah.
also like hindsight is 50-50 on all this stuff. Because you can say, what if you had just let Steph Curry walk when he was restricted free agent and he had just missed 80 games for the last 2 years running and you just figure it out from there? But like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Yeah, that's Steph Curry, and that's also Jordan. That's also the restricted free agent like rookie combo. So that's another combo. But yeah, I'm
Right.
trying to think of some other examples. Uh, Michael Porter Jr. is an interesting one where like I know he was a rookie scale extension, but he's just really another example of a guy. It's like his ceiling was not going to be that high. Like he was not going to like you were bringing him in to play a role, and it's
Yeah.
like you extended him so early, and you kind of cripple yourself by doing that. You give yourself very little flexibility. Like Michael Porter Jr. right now is pretty immovable, I think, in a lot of situations, just because of his contract number.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah, and that's not even to say if they had waited a year, they would have gotten him for cheaper. Like that I don't even think that's true. But like that's for example, you know,
Because what is he on right now?
he's making like 30 mil a year.
Yeah.
He's having a good season though. And yeah, I can actually use that to lead into my next point if we're good
Yeah.
on the contract discussions.
Yeah. 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 I think these are so interesting. The Spittin Hoops endorses like Max love that you get into the CBA. It's so fascinating.
A little too much, a little too much. It's literally the one thing that keeps me alive, honestly. Those
It's
numbers.
dude,
Mid-level exception. Oh, dude. Biannual exception. Dude.
it's
Fantastic.
it's coffee and mid level exception uh excerpts that keep you up.
100%. And like seeing Twitter salary cap discussions and then just being like, oh, wait, that just can't happen, bro. What are you guys talking about? And then like feeling so elitist after that.
And we at Spitting Hoops also love that people learn about this stuff. So
Mm.
don't be one of the people that Max is talking about on Twitter. Educate yourself or don't talk about it.
Yeah. Or ask questions. That's another thing. That's the only way.
That's
Or read the CBA. That's my number one thing, bro. If you really want to get in this stuff, like, dude, reading the CBA will like break your
read the
brain.
transcript. Yeah, absolutely.
Um.
You're on.
Anyways, moving on. Michael Porter Jr. We were talking about him. I'm using him to lead into my next point, which is my one of 2 points in the big three. We already went through two basically with the last section though. Nikola Jokic, you are absolutely ridiculous. The Nuggets are, I'm not ready to say they're back, but Jokic himself is incredible. He's averaging 30, 14, and 12. Obviously, he missed the last two games due to personal reasons, but he also is averaging 2 steals and a block per game, shooting 56% from the field, 56% from three. Um, this is one of the most dominant stretches I've ever seen. The eye test for me is one of the most amazing players I've ever seen. It might be in the top 3 to 5 that I've ever seen. Anyways, comparisons. Big O averaged 31, 12, and 10 for a season. LeBron averaged 34, 9, and 9 in 2017-18 finals when he carried the Cavs all the way through the finals. And then Russ averaged 32, 11, and 10 in one of his MVP seasons, but that was on 42% from the field, 34% from three.
Mhm.
Um, Statistically, I don't know if it's technically sustainable, but like it's probably not sustainable, but it doesn't feel unsustainable. Like statistically, it has to be unsustainable, but it's still one of the most amazing stretches I've ever seen. I think it'll continue for a good stretch of the season. Um, and yeah, I have some other points on the Nuggets, but I just want to give Jokic just flowers first.
That's a great question. In terms of best player, so two big thoughts on this. We'll go with the micro one first. His worst game this year was his first game, and that was against the Thunder. They lost 102 to 87. And kind of, caught my attention a little bit. He averaged he put up 16, 12, and 13 and just didn't really look like he was in control. From there, he's put up 41, 40, 29, 26, 27, 28, 23, 30, 37. Had games with 18 boards, 20 boards. Has had games with 16 assists multiple times. The statistical dominance is absolutely unbelievable. And he's doing it with such an ease. So I think to your question about his carryability to NBA prosperity with a poor team, with LeBron, there were some exceptions. One, he was just amazing on both ends of the court. And two, the East was a little bit weaker, but to your point, he was always able to step it up. And with Jokic, there's been a few seasons where we've seen him without a strong supporting cast. And yeah, the West is tougher, but he hasn't been able to be like the Warriors or the Suns when Jamal Murray's hurt. Jamal Murray is hurt, or he's not hurt, but he's not playing well. So we'll see how he does. And to your second point about if he's the top 3 player, that's a great question.
Off the top of my head, nothing I'll ever see in my life will beat LeBron in 13,
Yeah,
14. Was it
his MVP year,
the second year when they beat the Thunder?
11, 12.
Was that the defense player of the year? Or the second on defense player of the year?
That was 12, 13.
Then I'm thinking of 12, 13. That is the best. When he shot 40% from three,
Yeah,
that's the best NBA player I've ever seen.
yeah,
When they beat the Spurs,
yeah,
yeah, that's the
yeah.
best. So point blank, that's the best player I've ever seen.
That was when the NBA Finals had aura, by the way.
Oh,
Heat Spurs.
oh, so much aura.
Yeah.
Speaking
Like,
of aura, Steph, 73-9 season, probably the
oh,
second best player I've
yeah.
ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Warriors Cavs every year.
Yeah.
Besides, like, maybe the last one. Like,
Yeah,
that was
the last two, honestly.
last two. The 2017 was like, ooh, maybe LeBron. Nope. Not. You guys were just too OP.
17, 18 had aura for like 3 hours until George Hill missed the free throw.
Right. Yeah. And then 18, 19, people just
18,
kind of.
19 had aura because the Warriors were decimated
Yeah,
against the
exactly.
Raptors.
Uh,
But okay, Steph,
Kobe,
73 and 9. That's the second best player I've ever seen.
I put Kobe somewhere in there.
Yeah, Kobe second chip season maybe like the refined.
Mhm. Um, I mean, Katie has an argument, but to your point about Jokic, I mean, the way he's playing right now,
I
plus the
don't.
way
There's not a
finals.
KD. There's not a KD stretch that compares to this, in my opinion. I think peak KD was for me probably actually in the playoffs before he got hurt. That 18-19 season as the Raptors.
Yeah.
I
So I think he's in the argument for.
I think he's
Uh,
in the argument, but I think Jokic is better. I think this stretch of Jokic is better.
you think he's better than Kawhi in 2019? You think far leaps and bounds?
That's a great question. Because Kawhi is tough. Because Kawhi is also the best defense player in the league at that point, or top two,
Mm-hmm.
probably.
It's different forms. It's different forms of dominance, though.
Honestly, yeah, I think Jokic is better. This is unbelievable stretch, bro. He's contributing to basically 50% of the points created on his team, so that's points and assists combined. He's basically doing that every night, combining for 50% of the points created. That's not even counting hockey assists. That's not even counting the rest of the stuff he does. Screen assists doesn't count that.
A player has never won the rebounding and assist title in the same year. He's first. That's crazy.
Is he fourth on our list?
He's fourth.
Dirk, could you say Dirk playoffs? Dirk playoffs in 10-11?
Well, okay. My caveat is it's always the playoffs. How do you do in the playoffs? So he's that 2023 finals run was something to behold. It's not statistically what he's doing this, but his scoring was unreal. If he can do this and he has some crazy deep playoff run, then yeah.
Do you think this is more impressive than the what did Harden do? Like 20 straight 40 plus games? Something like that?
Oh, that's
Something crazy. That the season he averaged 36.
yes. Yeah, yeah, right, right.
If we're gonna compare regular season. I think this 10 game stretch individually might be more impressive to
How
me.
about Embiid last year before he got hurt?
Oh, that's a good one too. This
That might
is
be,
this is more
that might,
this is more impressive. This is more
this, yeah,
impressive.
yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Like if we're talking regular season stretches, yeah. Damn. I mean, this is yeah. That's one of my points. Is just this is in context. This iteration of Jokic is like literally one of the best players I've ever seen. And I know it's the regular season, but like this is absurd. 56% from the field and 56% from three. Are you kidding me?
Um,
He's shooting 4 threes a game. He's making 2.5. He should be taking like 12. He should be taking 12 threes a game.
yeah. And he's not, I mean, he's a plus defender at this point.
Yeah, it's so funny. I feel like he's a very good defender. He's way more active. Like he's very fascinating because he's not like a high fly, but like I don't know, he's almost closer to a Draymond-esque defender.
Yeah, I mean his
He's
game.
not Draymond, obviously,
Yeah,
defensively. Not close.
I think I think when you're somebody so cerebral as he is, um, and you can just learn how to pick your spots and be a good one-on-one defender, and also be able to just read the defense and the offense so well, like he can. The amount of energy that he does not have to overuse, um, like recovering from an assignment and just understanding where the players around him are going to be, is so helpful. So I, to your point about the sustainability, if it gets worse than this, it's not going to get a lot worse. He does not have bad games.
He doesn't.
I think that is the mark of one of these legendary players. Do they not have a bad game? LeBron in this stretch never had a bad game.
Jokic hasn't had a bad game. He has the yeah.
When was the last time he actually had a bad game? Not
Not
this.
not this year. Not this year.
That's crazy.
Bro, he's unbelievable. His advanced stats, if you want to have fun with that, his box plus minus is nuts. It's the best it's ever been in his career. So advanced stats say he's the best he's ever been. His win shares per minute, win shares per 48, best it's ever been. So advanced stats love this iteration of Jokic. It's actually his box plus minus is 16 right now, which is like basically the highest I've ever seen statistically. If anyone's familiar with the stat, yeah, it basically is he's the most impactful player that I've like potentially ever seen on a team. I really don't think this Nuggets team is very good. Nuggets in general, like they're looking better. Obviously, like we talked about, Jamal Murray's still struggling. Aaron Gordon's hurt. Payne Watson, Christian Brown have stepped up in some way, shape, or form. Their second best player right now is Michael Porter Jr.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, right. Aaron Gordon needs to come back,
Yeah.
but the
It
I mean the
hasn't even been a shorter ascension, which is what I was like and I still don't even think their ceiling is that high, frankly, as a team. And I was like, to raise their ceiling, they need to destroy their arrival. But yeah, anyways, my 2 out of 3 things. That covers my 3 things. I've been yapping a lot.
I like that.
Yeah.
LeBron's, I mean, granted, you can take into account era, but LeBron's best PER season was 31.7, and Jokic this year is averaging 33.7. So, just as a fun tidbit, that's crazy, right?
Great.
Yeah,
With
like it.
that, let's move to the Emirates and season cup. We're gonna give you some predictions. We're gonna break down some of the groups. Um, Rules reminder, really quick, before we get to this. So each conference, they have 3 groups. Each team plays the teams in their group once. And then there's a tiebreaker from there, which we'll definitely see employed as we saw in year one. First tiebreaker is group records. Second one is points differential. After that, it's total points. And after that, it's actually record from the 2022-23 season. So the year before. I just thought that was fun. Uh, in the East right now, obviously there's been some games played, so we're kind of cheating here, and we're gonna unfortunately have to factor that into the predictions. But yeah, there's also a wild card team. I forgot to mention that. Group A, Magic, they're first. Knicks are second. They're both 2-0. Nets and Hornets are 0-1. 76ers are 0-2. Do we have any predictions off the top? Honestly, I kind of feel like the Knicks and the Magic are going to steamroll this. Um, Obviously they haven't played each other, so we'll see that happen. But yeah.
Yeah, man, this is exciting. No, I don't really know. It's tough to say. I mean, I agree with your quick take. One of my big thoughts on this is I love that we know that Tuesdays and Fridays are going to be like kind of special, specific, important nights. These are going to be the nights where you see teams absolutely scoring like crazy at the end of games when they're up by 15 already and there's a minute left and they keep shooting the ball so much. So very excited for that element. I think the points differential thing is hilarious. Um, when the Cavs were doing it, at first I didn't realize why they kept all their starters in and were just gunning from 3 at the end of the game, I think against the Bulls. So this is awesome, man. I'm very excited. As for this group specifically, yeah, I feel like it just kind of follows like the flow of how they've been playing. Not really sure how they play intermediately against these teams, but the Magic and the Knicks, they look good, man. Even without Paolo.
Yeah, I mean, just gonna take the Knicks just because I think the Knicks are gonna end up playing the Magic while the Magic don't have Paolo, and I think the Knicks will end up going undefeated in this division.
Sure.
They've still got a game left against one of the bad teams. And both the Magic and the Knicks have beat the 76ers already, which is, kind of the team you would expect to upset other teams in this division. So in this group. So I really think in Group A, the only 2 teams that are probably gonna make it out, Knicks and Magic. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'll do Group B.
Mhm.
Because I think we agree on those 2 teams. One is a wild card, one is the winner of the Knicks.
Mhm. Well, wild card, we'll see, but yeah.
I suppose, yeah, that's true because the point differential and the Magic have a great point differential right now, plus 37 in 2 games. So that might come into play. This is exciting stuff. This is cool. But Group B, it's a very central division-y kind of group where the Pistons, the Bucks, the Pacers, well, not the Raptors, and the Heat. So this is exciting. Pistons are 2-0, so killing in group play, although point differential of only +4, so they've eked out a couple tough games. The Bucks are 1-0, the Heat are 1-1, the Pacers 0-1, Raptors are 0-2. It'd be kind of fun to see the Pistons be one of those teams that goes on a run.
Yeah, it would be kind of fun and kind of looking at the setup, doesn't feel totally impossible. I mean, the Raptors and Pacers are probably out of it. Unless, I mean, the Pacers, the thing is, like, if you're 0-1, you could win four straight and still
Right.
be in a conversation.
Right.
I don't know. The Pistons totally have a really good shot here, actually, now that I'm looking at this.
Yeah. Let's go.
Um,
Let's go.
but I'm actually going to take the Bucks, unfortunately.
Nice.
Yeah. I just think kind of the way this is going to roll out. I mean, the Bucks obviously still have to play the Heat, Pacers, and Pistons within the division,
Mm,
which is the gauntlet compared to the Pistons. But I don't know. I think the odds that the Bucks drop a game in this division is unfortunately pretty low. They
yeah.
will play the Pacers though, and I think the Pacers have a really good shot to beat the Bucks.
Pacers got their number.
So I'll take the Bucks.
Pacers beat them in the IST last year. Sorry. The Emirates Cup. They beat the Emirates Cup.
Who do you got?
Um, I mean, be Pistons would be cool, but the point differential ain't screaming. Yeah. Um, I mean, the Bucks are probably the best team. To your point, maybe the Heat. Jimmy Butler's finally back. The Raptors, I don't think they have a shot without Scotty, and they're 0-2. So yeah, I like the Bucks. I don't know if the Pistons have enough to be a wild card team.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think the Magic are probably the best setup out of those two groups, or the Knicks, depending on who. Um, Group C, Hawks, Cavs, Celtics, Wizards, Bulls, Cavs, and Hawks have both won games. The rest have not. Uh, Hawks are 2-0. It would be fun to see that Hawks go on a run here. Obviously they beat the Celtics
Yeah.
in one of their games, and I can't remember who they beat in the other. I think they beat the Wizards. Um, yeah, they did beat the Wizards. I guess the Hawks are in a good situation, but I kind of feel like the Cavs will probably pull it out, and if not, I think the Celtics could probably still pull this one out pretty easily too, going 4-1.
Mm. Yeah, this is tricky. I'm excited. Maybe by I don't think we'll have the standings fully ready by the next pod, but it'll be fun to do a little ranking of how we think they'll play out.
Yeah.
Because to your point, this Group C is really tough. I think the Hawks play really, really tough. Um, the Cavs are undefeated. Cavs are going to play the Celtics tomorrow. That's going to be a huge tell right there. What's going to happen? So this is exciting. I'd like to see the Hawks though. I'll tell you that for
Mhm.
sure. Love watching Jalen Johnson. Love watching Dyson Daniels. Zachary
Shea. I
is
actually Reese Shea has been amazing.
amazing. Looks very comfortable in his role. So I think that little spurt without Trae Young and kind of having these guys take more control of the offense was cool. I mean, they played very well against the Celtics, and Larry Nance, who's leading the league in 3-point percentage by a large margin. Last I checked, it was 72%.
How many is he taking?
Good question. He was taking uh, 2.5.
Oh, damn, pretty good.
Yeah, no, yeah, surprising, right? No,
He's making
yeah.
over a 3 game. He's making a 3.5 a game.
So, I mean, crazy that Jokic is second in the league. But yeah, he's taking 60 now 64%. So,
No.
um,
So
but
you're taking them to win the group?
I don't know, but I do know that he called Dyson Daniels the Great Barrier Thief, and I loved it.
Oh, that goes crazy.
That right? Um,
Is Dyson Daniels better than DeJounte Murray?
that's crazy. You know what? Just based on that, I will take the Hawks to win this just because of that. They're 2-0 already. So, what
Fair
about
enough.
you?
I'm gonna take the Celtics, unfortunately.
Let's go.
But I don't think they have I think there's a good shot they don't make it out of the group. I think there's a good shot the Celtics don't make the bracket. But I think they probably will. But for fun, I'm giving a hint ahead of time. I'm not picking them to come out of the east of the bracket, actually.
Okay.
Just because I am not sure if they will even be there, even though I am taking them to win the group.
I love it. I love it.
Some jumps happening. Okay, put that thought though to the side. We're gonna move to the Western Conference. We're gonna move out west before we get our full predictions. Um, Group A, the Rockets, the Blazers, the Kings, the T-Wolves, the Clippers. Honestly, only one game has been played all around, except for the T-Wolves who split their game. So this group is wide open.
Yeah.
The West in general, all the groups are really wide open. So this is gonna be a lot harder to predict. I will take the Minnesota Timberwolves though. because I feel like they've been on a little bit of a tough stretch. Um, they obviously dropped a game
They
against the Blazers in the
two games.
IST.
2 games.
Um,
Oh yeah. Well,
they
yes.
dropped yeah, they dropped a game against the Blazers. And funny enough, I think they'll come back and beat the Kings, the Rockets, and the Clippers. Um, so yeah, that's what
That's fair.
I'm gonna take.
Yeah. Loved that buzzer beater last night by Julius Randle. That
Did
was
you see
sick.
him do the arms back to Devin Booker, who
Devin
was
Booker,
completing the
yeah.
arms?
I didn't even realize that at first. Even though I saw Booker put his hands up and complaining, I didn't realize that this was a response. That was
He was like
great
staring at
celebration.
him. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah. He was like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Even though Book played well. Hmm. I think that's a good pick. I think the Kings would definitely prove to be a good competition here, but with their injury concerns, Sabonis has been hurt, DeRozan's been hurt, Malik Monk has also been out. Not sure how they're gonna fare. I'll go with the Rockets. I'll continue my apology tour. You know, uh, you're gonna face the Timberwolves, you're gonna face the Kings. So can you beat these teams in the in-season tournament?
And they'll probably beat the Blazers. So
Yeah,
that'll be easy enough.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, the Rockets really, since they beat the Clippers already, they only have two real games left of group play. So you win both,
yeah.
you go through easy.
Yes, sir. So
And,
yeah,
and if not, I think the Rockets actually have a really good shot to be a wild card team in the West. And the East
yeah.
is a little bit more clear cut. But yeah,
And they got that point differential plus 21.
mhm. They slammed the Clippers.
Yeah.
Um, Group B. Thunder, Lakers, Suns, Spurs, Jazz. Another wide open one. Only one game played all around, except for the Suns who split theirs. The Suns off the bat, too many injuries, can't take them. With the KD and Beal stuff that's been going on, just worried they're gonna miss an inopportune game. And I don't think the Suns care about the IST at all. Uh, Frankly, I think the Lakers and Thunder will probably be the two teams fighting it out for this. I could see the Thunder dropping a game to another team and then beating the Lakers, and the Lakers don't drop a game against any of the other teams. So we get into point differential stuff. Um, yeah, the Spurs and the Jazz are just a pretty poor tandem at the bottom of the group, in
Yeah.
my opinion. So I'm gonna take the Lakers just because of no Chet. I feel like the Thunder might drop someone. Drop a game
I'm
against
gonna
someone.
take the Lakers too, bro. I'm so with you. Yeah, maybe they just go back to back, win this championship 2 straight years. LeBron is just inching closer to Michael Jordan. Now 6 rings. You kidding me? Um,
Gotta put him ahead. I mean, Jordan never won an in-season tournament.
yeah, yeah. Please. It's crazy. Um, no,
Never
it's
won
fine.
an in-season tournament finals MVP.
Did LeBron win the Finals MVP or the in-season tournament MVP?
I think so. I think so.
Good for him.
Is that even a thing?
I
Do they have
bet.
a do they have a trophy name for it? Is that the Adam Silver? The Adam Silver Award? The David Stern Award?
Wow, that's crazy. But yes, LeBron was the MVP of the tournament.
Oh, okay, nice. No award name.
26, 8, and 7. What's up?
Do they have a name of the award? Like, is there a name on the trophy?
Um,
The Hakeem Olajuwon Award? No,
the
that's
LeBron James Award. No, but that'd be crazy.
wait, that would go crazy
That should be what it is when he retires.
because he won the first one.
Yeah, he won the first one. He's LeBron. He needs a tournament. He needs an award. He deserves a better award though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's why I'm like, eh.
Wait, but now you're making me think of the. Remember when the bubble had an all bubble team?
Oh, that went crazy. They should
And
do an all IST
do you
team.
do you remember what they were? There was the first team and the second team.
Okay, can I guess? We're
Yes.
so off track.
Yeah, we're
TJ
sorry.
Warren.
In the first team, yes.
Okay, boom.
Yeah,
God,
this is 2020.
2020. Who else was cooking in the bubble? Giannis,
Giannis' second team.
Devin Booker.
Booker's first team.
God, this is tough. This is actually really
They're
difficult.
cooking though.
Um, uh, Chris Paul.
Chris Paul's a good guess, but he's not on this.
All right,
Yeah.
just give it to me. I'm
All right,
okay.
all right, fair enough. Sorry, Spittin Hoops. We got to get after it. Dame.
Oh,
had
duh.
big games. James Harden, I had some good games. I don't remember them, but
I
Luca.
do remember.
Uh,
They were on the stretch run, and that's when I almost talked myself into predict. No, I wasn't on this podcast. I was on one of the Dead Files, the Dead Files podcast. I almost took them in the first round over the Lakers because the Rockets were playing so well, and they were doing the Russell Westbrook at center stuff, and then they got smacked.
yeah, they got smacked. But Lillard, Harden, Booker, TJ Warren, Luca. Second team, crazy team. Giannis, Kawhi, okay. Karis LeVert, Michael Porter Jr., and Kristaps.
That's
So
a
shout
hilarious combo. A hilarious combo
out.
of
Yeah,
players. Unserious.
yes. But yeah, tangent over.
Group C, you want to take this one?
Yes, Group C. The Golden State Warriors are leading. Pelicans are actually 1-0. Mavs, Grizzlies, Nuggets all 0-1. This group, I mean, it just kind of feels like we're continuing to go in the direction of all these teams. I mean, I like the Warriors. I'm not sure who they've played yet. So we will have to see who
We
they're.
beat the Mavericks and the Grizzlies already.
Oh, they actually don't have an IST game tomorrow. So,
We have the Pelicans and Nuggets left though.
oh, yeah. Okay. So, wait, left. Yeah. So you go 1-1. You're 3-1. Probably have a great point differential. So take the Warriors.
Yeah, same. Agreed. I do think this group has a chance to be another group that has a wild card team. I think it'll probably end up being one of the Thunder or the Lakers is probably where I see it happening. But if the Mavericks run the table in this group, they'll be in a great spot. Their one loss isn't a low point differential loss, right? So
Right. Yeah. Very, same. I was thinking about that with the Celtics too, -1.
yeah, exactly. Like, but that's one of the reasons I took the Celtics to get out of the group is like
Right.
they could run the table pretty easily. Predictions. Bracket wise, so I'll just say just for the record, I'll take the Magic as the wild card team. I'm not gonna predict the seeding. I'll say the Knicks get out of the Eastern Conference bracket. The West for the wild card team, I'm going to take the Thunder after the Lakers, and I'm gonna say that the Warriors get out of the West.
Question for you.
Yes.
Um, is it one tiebreaker per conference, or is it the top two tiebreakers of all of the groups?
What do you mean?
Uh,
For the
like,
wild card?
yeah,
Wild card is one per conference.
one per conference. Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, I'll just zig for fun. Let's go Magic, Bucks, Hawks. Okay, wait. So the wild card is based off of the point differential, not your record.
It's your record first, but I think there'll be multiple 3-1 teams probably.
Right. Wait, 4-1 now.
4-1, yeah, sorry. Or 3-1, because you don't play yourself.
Okay, I'll just go Magic, Bucks, Hawks win their groups. And then let's have, for fun, the Pistons come out. The Cavs and the Celtics just beat up on each other in that one game, so one of them will still win. But I don't know. We're going to go in a crazy direction.
We'll figure it out.
Spittin Hoops recorded here. And then let's go Houston, Los Angeles, Golden State, Minnesota. I like LA to make the West. And I like the Magic to make the East. Did we say champion?
Yeah. Or I haven't taken a champion yet. I'm gonna take the Knicks, so I'm
All right.
reverse jinxing myself.
Just for it, I'll go Lakers back to back.
Oh, that's more fun. I should have done that. Yeah, honestly, once we get into the one game plans, I mean, the predictions are the predictions. I actually probably would take the Celtics to come out of the East just for the record if I was more sure that they'd come out of their group, by the way.
Yeah. I think it's tricky. This might be speaking from a spot of emotion, but because the in-season tournament is so new to us that this is the second year, probably in the next 5 to 10 years, it will gain popularity and intrigue and interest as to like the fabric of how these players' careers are doing. So I don't think I'm not feeling like there's a lot of prestige to this. And of course, I know that a lot of players on this team benefit from the financial incentives associated with winning, and why not try to win games anytime? But I don't know if there's any extra want to win for a lot of these teams. Plus, it's the 1 game variation, so it's tough to say. But
Yeah. I mean, I think we say that and then we play the games and then you're on the cool court and it's the quarterfinals and you're like, dude, I want to win this really badly. Or even like when you're trying to qualify, do you remember how bad, like how hard teams were playing like in their fourth group stage game last year? Like,
right, yeah.
so
And teams are pouring it on at the end of games in this
yeah.
stage.
So
Just sick.
I the prestige isn't there yet, but it's year two. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
Hopefully, I mean, they should really, you should win the draft pick. You should get the draft pick that's after the lottery if you win.
You should get the draft pick that's after the lottery. I
Yeah.
like that.
You have 31 picks in the first round, and now the 15th pick, no matter who it goes to, or like that is just the IST slot, and like you get the 15th pick.
I like that. And let's give the team that wins the championship game the win. Like that goes to the regular season total.
I agree. I honestly think you should do times two. If you win a bracket game, you should not be, in my opinion, you should just not be penalized at all for losing a bracket game.
Yes.
And then you should get times two the win for winning a bracket game. And then we'll end up with standings that are mismatched, but who cares?
We'll just go via percentage.
Yeah.
And those head-to-head matchups in those IST games will not count against a player unless it's the very last thing that could separate standings thing. And they played head-to-head. Huh. You're welcome in.
I think bracket games should count as regular season games statistically.
Yes. Okay. So, but you don't get penalized for the wait. Are you asking that or are you saying that?
I think they should count statistically for players, but I think you should not. The team, like, how about this? If you make a bracket game, you shouldn't, and you lose it, you shouldn't get an L on your record, but you should get a W on your record if you win.
Are you saying times two?
Or times two. That times two. Or times two. And like at least give some sort of incentive there.
Right.
Like on the low end, I think you should not be penalized for making the bracket at all. And then if you win a game, you just extra W to your record. And you get the 15th pick. And let's say you can trade it. Let's say you can trade it. By the day after the IST game, you can trade it.
And the pick is helpful because that'll prevent teams that feel like they're going to do really well in the regular season.
Well, if you're the Bucks, you're gonna go, oh my God, this is our chance to this is our chance to trade Gary Trent.
That is so true.
And the players, if you give them an extra dub, they're gonna go, oh my God, this is our chance to potentially save ourselves some run. So it just gets everyone on board. And like LeBron's gonna play for that first round pick. That's
right. So every team, let's say it's some team that the Magic win it. But they also make the playoffs. So maybe they have the 24th pick. That gets moved up to 15, and then everybody else's gets slotted back one.
Nah, what if you just got the 15th pick? Now you got the way we slot it is 1 to 14 and the 16 to 31 now. And no matter the 15th pick is the IST pick, and you just get it.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
And then if you're the Magic, you take your first and the IST first, and you trade it for Kyle Kuzma.
And then you solve.
Then you solve literally every problem we've brought to this pod. this an hour and a half pod that we have been spitting absolute hoops to you guys. Absolutely yapping about different topics, getting off on tangents, but hope you guys enjoyed it. Seriously.
Yes, indeed. Well, Max, you got anything else?
Honestly, no. I feel like we really talked about everything that's been in my basketball brain for the last week, so pretty hyped.
Basketball brain. All right, Sean. Well, we appreciate you riding with us for 63 episodes. Crazy to say that. We love you all for continuing to listen. Please continue to fire away, engage with us in the comments. Super excited to watch some games. I said this one earlier. Cavs Celtics coming up tomorrow. Can't wait for it. But we'll see y'all soon for episode 64. And until then, as always, we'll be chilling here, Spittin Hoops.
Bye-bye.